My late mother, she was a knitwear designer in the 80s. She had imaginations about showcasing her creations in Paris. We didn't have a TV. My mother once fetched me at school. She came across the TV, and then as she was about to go and transact, she saw a knitting machine. She was like, yo, listen, if you're interested to learn this, you have the potential of building a global fashion brand if you are serious enough about it. I said, Mom, let's take the machine. Unfortunately, our mother passed away literally 6 months after she taught me how to hand machine knit.
Laduma Ngxokolo is a visionary shaping the future of African luxury. As Chief Creative Director and founder of MaXhosa Africa, a thesis project turned global brand, redefining heritage in bold contemporary style. Showcased in Paris, Milan and New York, and celebrated by the Smithsonian and MoMA, the award-winning designer continues to shape the future of African design.
Just lock the gates behind you, the last one. Finally, bro, finally we get to do it.
And music that you play in the metro, it really does.
Thank you for inviting us to the show yesterday. It was really, really incredible just to experience it firsthand. And I'm sure you must be exhausted, man. You looked like there was a lot going on yesterday. And for you to make time for this, brother, I really, really appreciate you, man.
I appreciate it, my brother. Always a pleasure.
Where I'd love to start, if you are at some sort of dinner party and someone asks you what you do for a living and they don't recognize you, what's that answer that you give someone?
Listen, I always keep it very short and very simple. I just tell that person I'm in the fashion business.
Fashion business.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Don't lead with entrepreneur, design.
No entrepreneur, no designer, no creative.
I love
fashion
that.
business.
I love that.
Because I feel like in this era or in this generation that we're in, we should look at it.
Yes.
Well, we're supposed to look at it from a business perspective in order for us to build things that will last beyond our existence.
I love that, bro.
Yeah.
So tell me now, if we are watching the documentary on your life, you know, I tell most people if we're watching your documentary on Netflix, but I feel like yours is going to be on Apple TV because, you know, there's levels. So if we put on Apple TV and we're going to watch the documentary on your life one day, or I pick up the book and I read the story of your life one day, where does your story begin? What's that opening chapter? And I imagine it would be some sort of context on you, family, but I'm going to leave that in your hands. What does that introduction to your story look like?
If I had to be deep, intensely deep, truly, my story begins from a black sheep perspective as a young boy growing up in a conservative society, in a conservative city called Port Elizabeth in the early 90s. Of course, during that era and time, creativity was not a norm. In fact, it was a taboo, because if you expressed interest in it, people would give you an example of a bad example that exists within the community. Or they will use examples such as, you want to be like Rasta and sell scarves and courier products, or you want to be that insane artist that's walking around the street that lost sanity because they overthought things or thought that they could change the world. So
crazy. That's the only reference.
Those are the only references. Wow. Once you express that you want to go into the creative field. So being a black sheep in a neighborhood is in the hood is not easy. But then it builds you because you believing in something that you cannot visualize, that you can only imagine or aspire to. So my childhood begins as an as young boy with imposter syndrome, feeling that, listen, because out of my community, you are classified as the darker child, right? And that is less palatable to other children or other things. So it came from a very little confidence outlook of life. But then after realizing certain things, you realize that, listen, I have my own special abilities that I can grow and highlight, and the best I could be ever is be myself.
I love that, bro. Yeah. And siblings, brothers, sisters, family?
I've got 3 siblings. I'm the second eldest. I've got an old sister, young brother who's in the middle, and a young sister who's the last born.
Okay, so you're in between there.
Yeah, I'm in between.
Okay, amazing. So you got to experience both sides. So, and tell me a little bit about your family.
My family.
Anyone else like doing fashion? Anyone else like, what did they do like?
My late mother actually was the one that was obsessed with fashion.
Wow.
When I mean obsessed, I mean, when you're obsessed with something that you're willing to die for it, meaning that you're willing to look stupid in your community because it's something that you believe in. Our late mother was like that. Her name was Linda Elwa. She was a knitwear designer in the 80s.
Wow, bro.
And in the late 70s. She used to do knitwear design in the late 70s and used to do bespoke pieces for clients in Port Elizabeth during the apartheid times. That was a means of income for the household that she came from. She came from a child-headed home because her mother and father were sentenced for years for selling cannabis. Our grandmother passed in incarceration, and our grandfather was a cannabis businessman. So our mother had that form of resilience of believing in something, even though it wasn't possible at the climate of the time. She believed that she would come and live an opulent life in Cape Town. Wow! Imagine in the 70s.
That's my thing. I'm going like, for someone to have this mindset in the 70s is like, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, she had imaginations about showcasing her creations in Paris.
Wow!
Those are the things that we grew up listening to. So I'm trying to give you an idea of what type of household that we were brought up in. Yes. And we grew up in a household where there was no TV, there was no fridge or microwave or washing machine, so there was very little sophistication and also exposure to globally things or influence. So we read Reader's Digest books daily. Those were our form of entertainment. She read us Xhosa anthropology books as well, So that's how we got entrenched into the culture. So that's the typical household that we come from. Our grandfather was from father's side, prominent musicians of the 60s and 70s and 80s. He was more on the music composition and choral music industry. He's known and respected as a legend in the Eastern Cape for writing church hymns. And in 1999, Jacob Zuma, former President Jacob Zuma and former President Thabo Mbeki came to Port Elizabeth and spent the whole day honoring him along with another legend for the works that they've done in the hymn church hymn industry. So basically, I used to study music. So I studied about my grandfather in high school. It was mind-blowing that my father, who's the firstborn of my grandfather, to learn about his father. I even went to him and said, and showed him that on our high school curriculum, we were learning about your father, and he was well known for, amongst his many other talents of doing art, sculpture, and acting. He was basically known for converting formal music into solfa notation music so that it was easy for black people in churches in general who never really went to study deep in terms of academics to understand that choral music, and also known for converting a lot of Western music into Xhosa, and so that people could sing those hymns in their native language, and also composed many other songs that a lot of people from the 60s and 50s
That's amazing.
Still sing today.
Wow. So it's entrenchment in your blood. The fashion side, the music side is like, and what's the environment like at home? Is your mom always making stuff, like when you think back to some of your early memories? And what is the first time sort of creating a garment crosses your path where you see someone do it? Would it be your mom or?
Unfortunately, our mother passed away 23 years ago, literally 6 months after she taught me how to hand machine knit.
You're joking.
So during that time period where she helped me, and she came up with an idea that, listen, with the machine that I just bought, actually the machine was acquired in a way that was sort of felt like destiny. So as I said, we didn't have a TV. My mother once fetched me at school, and then she collected me. We walked down the street and then went to a Salvation Army, where we would usually go and buy second-hand clothes. And she came across the TV. It was big, colorful, and black and white TV era. So we were expecting a black and white one. She saw a color one. She was like, okay, it's a bit over my budget. Over my budget was 500 Rand, actually. Money could take you far in those days.
Yes.
And then as she was about to go and transact, she saw a knitting machine lying there. It's a brand called Passap, popular in the 80s. She was like, yo, listen, I just saw this machine. It brought me back to my career in the late 70s, early 80s. The year was 2001. She was like, I'm taking that, because that cost 150 Rand. The TV is 500 Rand. We will have change that we'll spend on food and transport money for you guys. So we're getting a bargain. And by the way, if you're interested to learn this, you've got the potential of building a fashion brand, which I couldn't, because you know how life changed for me. And you have a potential of building a global fashion brand if you are serious enough about it. So I took it serious, I said, Mom, let's take the machine.
That's
so
crazy.
I was sort of like the decision maker and influencer of that choice. And since that day, we went home. Of course, my siblings were disappointed, because listen,
Mom, you said TV. Coming down.
So I helped her assemble machine, and then I helped her do the first piece. That mesmerized me a lot, because I, as an aspiring creator, I was mesmerized with the fact that there's a machine at my house that makes fabric. I've never seen that in any other household, even where they sew, they go and buy fabric. So technically I can make fabric. My life never was the same since.
Crazy.
So I designed the first jersey with her. It was in different sections of blue, and I wore it at school for Civis Day. Of course, kids laughed at me, and they called it homemade. And I decided that, listen, from this day, I'm willing to go out there and look stupid for my aspirations and dreams. I don't care what it takes. I will do and achieve what I want of being a textile designer, pattern designer, and a fashion designer, and work so hard that I want to get access to the best fashion school in the world and learn and build one of the most credible fashion brands in the world.
That's crazy.
And we are well on our way.
Wow, bro. So you knew from looking at that piece, that's it. Like, this is what I want to do. I found the thing.
Absolutely.
And you made it from nothing.
Yeah.
And it came together, and you made the first piece with your mom. That is such a special story, bro. Wow, man, that is so touching. Tell me, and then you basically, so now throughout high school, are you creating stuff? Are you, are you side hustling? Are you like, what's the sort of mission in high school at the moment? Before you go
high
to study
school was quite interesting. Yeah. So I had a few friends. We were called the creatives, because we were always holding canvases and paper for drawing every time we go home. So high school, of course, was the toughest time of our lives as a small family, because after our mother had passed, she said that, listen, we should continue living together as a small knit family of 4 siblings and make sure that no one comes in between us. So technically, as a 15-year-old, we grew up in a childhood at home from grade 8, and that gave us a sort of freedom that other kids didn't have, which was negative and positive. So it meant that in high school, we chose all the things that we wanted to do. And we also made sure that we also learned from our mother, so that we could hustle. So my hustles was hemming people's pants.
Oh, crazy, bro.
Doing alterations, whether it's torn here and there, I fix it.
Bro.
My sister as well. My sister was the one that was the biggest hustler. She ran a CMT business where people came, they say they want this idea, and she would make up that idea for them, until she evolved her own brand. She has her own brand today.
Oh, is that your older sister?
Yeah. Okay. My other hustle was haircut. I used to cut people's hair.
Oh, crazy.
My biggest hustle was printing T-shirts for people.
Okay, you're screen printing.
Yeah,
okay.
I used to screen print and design T-shirts, but then at some stage I was like, listen, this is not going to work for me. So I threw all of that aside and continued focusing on my studies, because for me, I knew that what would get me out of the hood is definitely education.
Crazy.
And sustain me in terms of my career was definitely education.
What did you study?
I studied a course called Textile Design and Technology. Textile design is about fabric, aesthetic design, and engineering.
Got you. So it's the actual making of how the fabric comes together.
Yeah,
the science.
You don't only just design it; you have to bring it to life. It's also, textiles is also about the chemical science behind fabrics.
Yes.
It goes deep. Also farming as well, you know, farming of goats, sheep, and various other protein animals that produce hair. And then I later evolved 2 years after I started the business. I did a master's course at Central St. Martin's University in London. Right after that, I moved to Johannesburg.
When do you get the name where you go, okay, I'm going to call it MaXhosa. I've got the name. I know what it is. Like, what's that? Is there like a moment when that happens?
Yeah. That moment happened in April 2011. Here in Cape Town.
Okay.
So February 2011, I got invited by CEO of Design Indaba, Ravi Naidu, to come and speak on stage to 2,000 people. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do that because I've never spoken in public before.
So what are we going to talk about?
They invited me to come and share a story of how I came up with a thesis idea at university, at the Nelson Mandela University. So my last year at the Nelson Mandela University, 2010, I came up with a thesis project of taking traditional Xhosa initiation dress code and modernize it to what your current 18-year-old, 19-year-old would be attracted to, or at least I would have been attracted to. So the speculative project was based on me coming up with an idea that I think I would have embraced if there was an alternative that was more cultural than the clothes. So as you know, us as Xhosa people, every boy who's 18, 19 years old has to go through manhood circumcision. And that process happens in the forest, you know, far remote. And before the process, the boy has to give away everything that they own, and the parents buy them a new wardrobe and many other things with the hope that they would never have to buy them anything again in their lives. So it's a scent of manhood initiation. And your parents, of course, preferably would like to buy you premium quality clothes so that they could last. But then for me, what stood off as a person who has experience in fashion, I was like, no, those clothes are too westernized. They don't talk to us as in terms of culture. So there's no cultural references in them. So my objective of the thesis was to put cultural references into those dress codes in order for us to make the culture more preserved, you know, with the thought that it would evolve. And it has evolved.
So you almost like redesigned, and what fabric did you use? How did you, what was that?
Growing up and being born in Port Elizabeth, I discovered that Port Elizabeth has the biggest wool industry in Africa.
Crazy.
That competes with Australia and New Zealand.
That's crazy.
New Zealand and the UK. Of course, Australia is the best. Sometimes South Africa is number 2. And South Africa, in Port Elizabeth, again, has the biggest mohair industry in the world. So about 80% of the world's mohair comes from there. So there's millions of goats and millions of sheep out there in the forest. So every 6 months, that hair gets cut, it gets shed, and it gets sold overseas. Brands like Chanel, you know, they send agents in Port Elizabeth, Farigamo, Zegna, they send agents to come and buy the finest hair of mohair.
Wow.
Or the finest hair of wool, you know, because, of course, we sell it in rands.
Okay, so your project is based on that, obviously, because of its sustainability. And so you've put together, that's crazy.
So technically, Xhosa initiates premium clothes, knitwear to be specific, is made out of wool.
Yes.
But then the wool is the coarse type of wool, you know?
Okay.
So it's itchy. So
yes.
I wanted to introduce finer wool, which is more comfortable, more premium. interesting thing about wool is that that material is durable. So it can last for 50, 100 years plus if taken care well of. And I wanted to use those novelty fibers to make the clothes. And also I saw a potential of those fibers creating sustainable jobs within our community, because the sad fact was that most of those hair gets bought in raw form and then it goes to France and China and America, and then it comes back to the diamond walk 1,000 times more the price, you know.
Yeah, that's
crazy. That very chain of employment is something that was lost, and therefore I saw a potential. So since I started doing my knitwear with wool, I've been doing them with that till this day, but I infuse other fibers as well. So my thesis project was based on addressing that, and my concept was very simple: to take old traditional Xhosa beadwork motifs and patterns, modify them in my own taste. That's why the brand was called Laduma, MaXhosa by Laduma initially, because I was trying to tell the story of the Xhosa people, but in my own perspective. And I grew that thesis project in January and February and decided not to work. So I've never worked before. And in February, I did the talk.
Yeah, so Ravi comes through.
Ravi
He's
comes
like,
through.
okay, let's do it at
and people
Design
went
Endeavor.
crazy
Wow.
at the Design Endeavor. 2,000 people from Germany, Netherlands, all across the world. And 300 people wanted to buy.
Place orders now.
And
but
guess
you've
what?
just got like the thesis. You don't have like
I just have the thesis and 5 samples, and guess what? Nothing to 0% to sell. So I sold dreams, basically.
Sold dreams, exactly.
So a week
man.
after I sat with the order book, I was like, whoa, I've
Yeah.
got 300 people. And when I calculated, I was like, we have a business, but now we need a brand. So I decided, listen, the best credit I can ever give to this brand, because I had a choice of naming the brand after my name, you know,
Yeah.
Laduma Ngxokolo. I was like, boring, you know. How about I give acknowledgement and credit to the people that created this art, that the roots of the concept that I'm doing is based on, and tell their stories of centuries of heritage, of centuries of clan classifications that is not known by our people. I grew up in Port Elizabeth, which is a cosmopolitan city. It's not as cultural as people think it would be.
Yeah.
So places like Mthatha and Transkei are more cultural places. So I grew up being hungry for culture, you know. I'm an inquisitive person. I asked everything, you know. Sometimes I'm just curious. I just ask things about culture, but don't get really definitive answers. So I decided that, you know what, I want to learn more about my culture. So it starts with me giving it the biggest credit. That's how MaXhosa came up.
Incredible.
So MaXhosa basically means the Xhosa people.
That's beautiful, bro.
Yeah.
So it's 2011 now. You've got these 300 orders. Tell me the significance of that time and the significance of backpackers in Cape Town.
2011, and then I realized that, listen, I'm not going to make it. I need massive capital. I went home, I looked for it all over, couldn't get it. And then I went to my university, the Nelson Mandela University, asked them for assistance. They said, okay, we got you. We're going to start an incubator and you're going to be the guinea pig. And then if it's good, then we'll do it for other kids who graduated in the creative department. So I said, okay. They gave me a studio, they bought raw material for me, and we had a signed deal that we later relooked after 2 years because the objective was achieved. And then I continued on my own.
Amazing.
But during that time period of the 2-year contract that I had with the university, they had a private entity where they commercialize ideas that came out of the university.
Yes.
So I already had transferred my IP to my business, and already established. So I learned a lot from them, especially when it comes to operational, daily things, when it comes to business. I used to come here to Cape Town to explore factories that I could outsource from. Of course, I had the 300 orders, but what I did was I met about 10 boutique owners here in Cape Town that wanted to stock my pieces. But from what I've learned from the university incubator program was that giving consignment stock to retailers is the highest risk, So the most comfortable state that you can be in is selling your goods cash. So I had that principle on set.
Yes.
COD. And that helped me, and the principle of making sure that I minimize my risks as much as I can. So I went to 9 boutiques around Cape Town who sent requests, wanted stock. To my surprise, 9 of them wanted stock on consignment, because I was selling a new concept. People didn't want to take risk, and they wanted me to bear the risk. I was like, listen, I'd rather risk going directly to my consumers,
Exactly. Yeah.
And fortunately, Facebook was just kicking in there. And I already had just subscribed to Facebook. And the 10th boutique that I went to was right down the road, Long Street. It's called Merchants on Long.
Yeah, it's still there, right?
Still there. I saw the facade. I was like, listen, my product definitely deserves to be here. I don't know who owns this. It deserves to be here. I walked in, and I even lied at the counter. I said, I have an appointment with the owner. I just need to show her pieces, because my bus ride back to PE was literally in about an hour.
Crazy, bro. Crazy.
And I went in, the lady came. She was like, yo, hi, my name is Hanili. I'm the owner of this merchant's boutique. I opened it in 2009, a year ago, because I wanted to shine a light on African luxury. So her boutique was arguably the first boutique concept store
Amazing.
in Africa that started distribution of African luxury products of this new age era that we're in. And she was like, yo, listen, consider me as your client from now. We're going to do good business together. I want 300 How many orders did you get? Because she heard from someone about my brand at the conference. She said, how many orders did you get? I said, 300. She said, give me 300. Wow. Choose the sizes, choose the styles, and then send me the invoice today. If you send it today, in the next hour, I'm paying you 50% cash today. I was like, yo. My office used to be a BlackBerry then. On my way to the bus, I shared an invoice first, and then I sent it to her. She paid me. That was the beginning of my business, and to the size of the business that it is today.
Incredible, bro. Shout out to her, man. It's lovely to hear that there's people along the way that do stuff like that. Tell me about, what was your first show that you were like, okay, we're putting a show together?
My first ever show was at university, Port Elizabeth. So as graduates, you are supposed to do a fashion show. But I wasn't supposed to do a fashion show. I was a textile design and technology student. We studied about fabric. And then I did fashion design courses as well, because they just added them as part of textiles, which helped us create fabric and create garments.
Yes.
Which made us even far better than fashion students, because we designed our own fabric and made it. So when I graduated and the fashion students graduated, I went to the fashion department and asked them if I could do a show.
Crazy.
I wanted to participate, That's when the obsession of showcasing started. And ever since then, I've done shows in more than 30, 40 countries over the past 15 years. They are exhausting these days.
Yes.
they feel more like work
Yeah.
than actual fun. But they evolve the brand every season. Every 6 months, we have a fashion show.
That's incredible, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to 2011 side. So after you get those orders, bro, you moved to Cape Town, right?
Yeah, I
You're
moved
staying in
to Cape Town.
backpackers, and what's the story there?
My memory of Cape Town is a bittersweet memories. Every time I Cape Town, I get reminded of some of the most difficult times that I experienced here in Cape Town. When I tell the story, I even share to some people that, listen, I even decided not to socialize in Cape Town.
Wow.
Because I was like, listen, I'm here to work. Socializing is a waste of time. It's downtime. The only time I'd go out is when there's an event so that I can network, get business cards, back to the room that I rent and work, because I wanted to go out of the country and then come back with lessons that I've learned. So Cape Town is where I decided to move first out of my comfort zone in Port Elizabeth. Wow. I had challenges of getting the right manufacturers, establishing my business here. But funny enough, the first biggest community of MaXhosa lovers ever is Cape Town.
Crazy.
In 2011 and 12. And a huge portion of that was a lot of Germans.
Crazy.
A lot of Dutch.
Yeah, you know this MaXhosa. We love it. We love the MaXhosa.
And a few Americans as well, you know. They were obsessed with the brand, and Cape Townians loved it and embraced it as well, you know. But
lovely.
In 2014, I sneaked out quietly, you know, and I got a scholarship actually to study at Central St. Martin's,
which is, like the most
prestigious fashion school in the world.
What was that experience like, bro?
It was also a bittersweet journey to go through. Literally, at that university, there was only 4 black students. Yeah,
crazy, bro.
Yes, in an environment of hundreds, thousands of students who come from all corners of the best creative spaces in the world, especially Asia, and Japan, Korea, and China. There were 4 of us. It was me. I was doing textiles. It was Ib Kamara. Ib Kamara is the current creative director of Off-White.
Yes.
And worked very close with Virgil Abloh and the editor-in-chief, I think, Date magazine.
Yes.
It was Campbell Eddy. Campbell Eddy is one of the biggest UK photographers that has shot many covers for Ib Kamara and many campaigns for Vogue. I forgot the other gentleman. So I studied in the environment. A lot of people out there didn't know much about Africa in general and about our culture, everything. So I attended a class with like 40 students, and I was the only one from the African continent, the only guy in the room. So it was also a learning experience that taught me a lot of critical thinking, because that's what the course that I did was about. It was called Material Futures. It's basically, they teach you about how to do speculative design for the future, for 50 years, for 100 years, just to look at how things could potentially change. Like, for instance, there's no guarantee that me and you will be wearing clothes in 20 years' time.
Yes.
Maybe clothes will be obsolete. We could be wearing tech or clothes with nanotechnology.
Yes.
That is worn for a function and less aesthetic, you know. So I was curious about those things. I wanted to live in a different country, different experience, and learn and get to go to places that I never even thought I would explore in my life. Yeah.
Crazy, bro. Crazy. And it's crazy to think someone out from PE ends up at one of the most prestigious
from all
schools,
cities,
man.
PE.
PE of all cities, you know.
But one thing I love about PE is PE humbles you.
Yeah.
There's not much happening in the city.
Yes.
There's not a lot of events that distract you. There's not a lot of distractions. So it's a student city. So discipline is one of the best value that you get out of the city. And
incredible, man.
I would forever appreciate that I had that moment, you know, of consciousness that led me to know myself better and work on myself first before I ever jumped onto a big project, which was a fashion brand, you know. So becoming Laduma was important.
So crazy, man. It's like you to hear that you didn't like actually study fashion design, that you did the basic the engineering side of it, and everything else has been the construct of your journey and figuring out. And it's so incredible, bro. Tell me, where are we today? How many stores, how many people on the teams, like how many items get sold, like what's like, just give us an idea of where we're at today. How many people are working in the factories? Like, what does it all look like?
Where we are as an organization today, I don't even call it a company anymore or a business. We call it an organization because we're an organized unit of people that come from different careers and journeys and experiences. So we're a team of about 350 people that is subdivided into major portion of retail team. The biggest team players are in production.
Wow.
We are in the production business. We have 2 factories. One is in Johannesburg, and we have a new one in East London that was established in 1965, actually. We acquired it from a family that used to do production for Truworths and for Johnnie for over 50 years.
Wow.
A major part of the operations happen within the operations team. We have an operations team that is subdivided into HR, finance, and marketing, content creation, design, lifestyle, and homeware design. So we've become a super dynamic organization of people that are all entrenched into one vision.
Incredible, bro. Incredible. And just like Ntika as well, man. Just a big shout out to him, man. To like have someone that's like, you know, it's as much his thing as it is your thing. Like, it's so incredible. It just talks about the culture you've created. And it's like to have people like him that are like, it's his baby. It's his North Star. It's his thing that he's like, yo, this is my destiny, is this thing. And this what is that process to find those people? And who are some of those like super crucial roles in the business that you would say, and what do they do?
Yeah, the people that have the most crucial roles in the business, I call them my right and left hand. Ntsika came subtly into the vision in 2012 in passing. We met at a Pick and Pay in Summerstrand. I was coming from the studio tired. I was speaking to a friend called Bantu about a bad deal that I just got that I have to decline. And then Tsika was sharp ears listening, and he snuck a comment and said, "Don't take it." I was like, "Who are you?" And then we became friends.
Like him, bro.
We became friends, and then I came up with an idea actually of doing a sales exhibition, because what I do is centered around art. I believe that I create art pieces.
Absolutely.
I love art, and that's why you'll never caught me in plain colors. Sometimes once in a million, but I love expressing myself through pattern and color. And so Tsika and I said, listen, let's do a sales exhibition and call it the first MaXhosa pop-up. When pop-ups were starting, they were not even a thing then.
Yes.
let's call it a pop-up so that people would know that it's temporary. It's just for a week, and then we close it and then sell off products. I had just received a scholarship then to go to St. Martin's, and we do a send-off celebration for you. I said, cool, let's do the idea. Tsika and I did the event. That became our first engagement, and I invited all my siblings. My young sister was working at SABC at the time, or Business Chambers in Port Elizabeth, I don't remember. My young brother was working at finance at Price and Pride at the time. They came on time. Tsika was a bit late, so my two siblings had to help at the door to collect entry tickets and ticket purchases. And my other sibling had no choice but to sell the pieces that were on exhibition, you know. So they had their first interaction, activation with the brand. And today, those three people have been working for the brand for solid 10 years.
Wow, bro. What a special story, man.
Solid 10 years with no breaks in between or fist fights, with no seeing eye to eye, with the best learnings ever, with the greatest experiences around the world, with all three of them, and with learning and also getting wiser by every time we go through those journeys. And today we laugh about those moments. And as the three main people that are executive people that make executive decisions in the company, we often say when we are as a team sitting down that I wish people knew how much lashes we get from the work that we do that bends our back. But we understand that people will never understand. And
100%.
they don't have to understand. What is known doesn't need to be explained. That's the philosophy that we go with. And I think you do need such people around you when you're growing a business. So when someone is new and in a journey of growing a business, they should ask themselves that, how are the people around me adding value to what I do? Yes. Always question yourself that. Someone shared a very profound thing and said, is your sister supporting your business? Is your brother? Is your friend? Or are you just relatives? Or you're relatively related? You know, so sometimes you have to ask yourself as well, what value you're adding to other people as well.
Wow, bro. What a powerful thing, man. Jeez, thank you for sharing that, bro. So in this day and age, bro, where you traveling the world, you're getting to do these like insane things. Your life is pretty crazy. As difficult and as, you know, harder those sort of hills become to climb. Like, what keeps you inspired? You know, I'm sure there's a list of things that you're like, yo, I wanted to do this now. You wanted to do Fashion Week. Now you're one of the most important shows. And then you wanted to do this. Now you're playing in all these important spaces. You've got a store in New York. Like, things are expanding. What keeps you? What's that North Star? Does it change over time? And what's that thing that you like, you know, in those difficult times, you just remind yourself, like, this is why we keep doing it. What's that thing that keeps you inspired, bro, to carry on every day?
And frankly speaking, I don't really have an inspiration that is superficial. I don't aspire to own a jet or a yacht, but if it comes, I'll take it. I don't aspire to travel to some of the best destinations and whatever. What I aspire to is to live in a time where I will see the first African, Black, that is based on intentional thought, business, climbing $1 billion revenue entity. I want to see that in my lifetime, because for me, it would mean that the African creative economy will be disrupted for the first time ever. And I live to see a day where the African economy gets revitalized as it should, because I believe that it has the potential to be there. There's a lot of paradigm shifts that are happening in our continent, and South Africa is ahead of that pool, of that paradigm shift, So what inspires me and keeps me going every day is the fact that there is a potential, even if it's tomorrow, it could be next week or next year or in the next 5 years or the next 10 years. I don't want to be a person that would give up the fight of giving up on achieving that, even if it means that I have to pass it to the next generation. Let it be. But for me, I think that I live to see the day that a creative business that is well organized turns over billions of dollars.
Wow, I love that, bro. And I back you, bro. You're gonna figure it out. If not you, then who, my brother? I back you. Who would you say is the most important artist in your story? Like who, and that could be a designer, that could be like who, it could be someone in a completely different realm. Who would you say is the most important artist that has impacted your creative journey?
My creative journey. That's a very profound question. I think the best artist that sparked a deep thought in my journey is my grandfather. Even though his work is not known as much as it should, for me, what it represents is more important. Wow. His work represented cultural recognition and preservation. It represented a form of sophistication. It represented a celebration of nature, So as a person who studied about my grandfather's work, I got to understand it from a standpoint of the true essence that it was about. So he used to write songs about nature. So our grandfather grew up in a farm in Port Alfred, So he grew up seeing the sea, wind, and everything. So he writes about nature. He writes about miracles. He writes about how God is beyond powerful as a creator.
Wow.
He writes about compelling things, and his idols were Bach and Handel, Mozart, So he looked up to those sophisticated, classic musicians. But then he acknowledged the fact that his culture was not less in comparison to what he was inspired by,
Wow.
And that's pretty much what MaXhosa represents.
Wow, bro.
That we live in a modern world. We wear modern silhouettes, but then we have to take those silhouettes and make it a part of our culture and still find a fair balance of us creating an industry out of it, So I feel like that I'm evolving a certain philosophy that my family started. Wow. But my grandfather is one of the people that inspires me a lot. Another artist outside of family that has changed my perspective about the world is Credo Mutwa. I'm not sure if you know much about Credo Mutwa. He is known to be a shaman. Do they call it a shaman, Tsigane?
Yes,
he's a Sanusi.
Sanusi.
Yeah, Sanusi is a person that's considered to be above a psychic, who is a prophet that philosophizes about past anthropology occurrences and religion and what. But he creates art. He used to create art. He passed away last year. I got an opportunity to meet him, but in a very vulnerable state when he was in his almost passing days.
Yes.
He created art. He created a lot of books. He wrote a lot of books about African symbolism. I like African symbolism. So I study a lot about hieroglyphs and various other anthropology. I love anthropology in general, especially African. So Credo Mutwa and my grandfather are my biggest idols.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for sharing that, man. A few more questions, bro, before we wrap up. This is a super important question. If someone is listening to this conversation and they see themselves sort of in you, and you are now that new canvas of, the same way when you were young, there was no references, and now you are someone's reference, right? Someone's listening to us have this conversation, and now you have become the reference. And if they were sitting in my seat today, and whether they've got the t-shirt brand or they're starting with the fabric itself when they early in their journey, or if you were sitting talking to a younger version of yourself and he was 18 and you had to have a conversation with them, what's the bit of advice you would leave for them?
The best form of advice that I would give to someone that is interested to go into the industry that I'm in, which is the fashion business, is that if you decide and have finally made the decision to be in the fashion business, know very well that you stand the highest potential opportunity to achieve the greatest results if you know what purpose you're going in for. Reason I say that is because it is easy to do what other people are doing without you even thinking or acknowledging that you are repeating that what someone has done. For all I know, in the world, there's 8 billion of us, and we influence all of each other in some way, so it is super easy to be influenced. So knowing your purpose pretty much determines where or how far your career can go, because that purpose is what will drive you to the results that you want to get out of the career that you've chosen. So for me, I got to know what my purpose was in the industry, and that purpose is what sustains me in decision making that I do, in whatever emotions that I evoke that day. As they say, the energy that you give out to the world is the energy that you receive. So I look at the energy that I give out there as something that will flash back to me, and because I know what purpose I'm playing, it is very likely that I'm always right, because there is no plan B or C. There's only plan A, and there will only ever be plan A.
Wow. That's
So
powerful.
knowing your purpose basically makes you understand your plan A better. That is the only form of advice that I would give. I would never repeat anything that was said in the world, because people know that, and they get discouraged when those things work that they once heard before from there and there and there and there and there and there. But if you have purpose, your elasticity goes far,
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a real, from a spiritual aspect, and just a drive and an energy, and to keep going when things get tough and you don't have that reason. I feel like if that's intact, you know how to tackle it. But now let's say I had to ask you this question from a practical sense of point of like, if I had to strip away the 350 people that work with you, and I had to take Ntsika away and your top 3 and everybody's gone and you have to start again tomorrow. What would you like? What's like, is it start with one item, post on social media every day? Well, how would you tackle the game today in 2025 versus, like if someone's listening now and they're starting tomorrow, like what's some practical advice you would give?
That's a great question. First of all, I have to mention that. Imagine, I cannot even imagine that.
You're like, I'm becoming a DJ.
All of that removed.
Yes.
Wow. Because I know so much, I don't even know where I would start.
Crazy.
To be honest. Because I would want to do everything that I was doing today. Even though I have 350 people, I still feel like the workload is the same as when I started. In fact, it gets more, as 100%. You grow. But I think the most important thing that I would do first, and Ntsika knows very well that that's the object, that's the mantra that I live by. I always ask, what is the objective? So in the world that we live in this age that we live in, we tend to forget the objectives that we want to get out of the things that we're doing. So first thing I ask in each and every business operation that's within our organization is, what is the objective? What are you trying to get out of it? And the objective must be super clear. So whether it be I want to put out a campaign or a new collection, what's the objective? So I would line out everything. My first thing that I would do, day one, starting over again, lay out everything and ask, what is the objective? Because if you don't know what certain objectives are for, you will fall for anything that comes your way. And even forget that you need to be proactive. You'll be reactive to each and every results that you get.
I love that, bro. I love that. Before I ask you the last 2 questions, anything else from your side? Anything we've left out? Ntsika, anything from your side? The last two questions are deep, so.
The last, I think what I didn't mention was that the sales exhibition that we started evolved to what we call an MXS Culture Festival.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about that, bro.
Yeah.
And it's impressive from someone who's come from that world at some point. It's incredible to see how you guys have been, I think you've had 2 editions, 2 or 3 now. 3 editions. Like you guys have built arguably like a really, really strong festival, you know?
Yeah.
And it goes beyond just obviously fashion. And tell me about it.
Yeah, so from that thought of doing a pop-up and a sales exhibition and inviting acts, so the thought came back again in 2022. We thought, listen, okay, this is what's happening in South Africa right now. There are no major fashion shows, right? And the way that fashion shows are executed is to do it under a fashion week that is centered around one venue. So we decided, listen, let's be realistic. Our community has grown beyond 1,000. We've got 50,000 plus minus people that are showing love to our brand.
Crazy.
And the best experience as a form of extension of the brand is to offer an experience to those people that they can never get elsewhere when it comes to the representation of the brand. So we decided, okay, what's the best experience that we can give them? We said there should be food, or they should experience the brand in all the senses possible. So we said they should eat, they should have a drink, they should use a sense of expression. They must come and express themselves in whatever that they choose. But people forcefully feel that they have to come and express themselves in MaXhosa. So in turn, that's the highest amount of MaXhosa I've ever seen in one day.
Crazy.
One time.
Just in one place. Wow.
Yeah, and we said their sense of hearing, we must give them great music and curate some of the music and get them exclusive experiences. And then we said they must shop.
Wow.
They must indulge. So we said, okay, we'll integrate a pop-up. But then, the most important, we have to reveal our latest collection for the year. And then we said, okay, that's the headline activation.
Crazy.
So we came up with an idea and said, listen, actually, guys, this is not an experience. This is a festival. So we decided that, okay, we're going to have an annual festival, but then we'll only keep the numbers to not more than 2,000 so that these people can have the utmost best experience and keep coming back. And to a point where we wouldn't feel the need to put a lineup on the festival for them to buy tickets.
Yeah.
So that we feel like we don't have to go out there and overly advertise it, because we're only looking at about 2,000 people. So as we're sitting today, we're on our third edition.
Crazy.
Of MXS Culture Fest. We said we'll call it Culture Festival because we want people to come and express themselves in their own cultures.
Incredible.
And make it a cultural celebration. And we said music will be the forefront representation of the experience. And today we've had some acts like DJ Black Coffee who played there. We had Anati who played the most amazing set. We had Lamis, Bongs, a lot. We've had a lot of artists and looking into, in the future, pulling in international acts and make this thing an experience that people would travel to far corners of the world to get.
Do a tribute set to your grandfather, like take all his original music and maybe do like a tribute set at the next one,
Absolutely, man.
Also,
Absolutely.
like maybe what could be dope is like even your silk printing times. Just do one little run to
and do
just
a drop
for him, a drop for him, just to like, because festivals, like when you think merchandise, right? It's like a big part of the festival living on the logo. It could just be dope to honor that young version of you, That's my festival mind going, you see.
I love
that, bro.
Are you listening, Zigga?
Bro, tell me, we're manifesting now. What are any brands? I mean, I don't doubt there's no one locally that you can't collaborate with or get in touch with. What are some brands or some people around the world, if you could make a phone call right now and you would get a collaboration going, like if it's MaXhosa and LV to do a range together, it can be anyone and any brand, like what's one brand or what's one person you're like, yo, if we sat in the studio, I promise you in 6 months we'll have the craziest thing happen. And it can be a designer, it could be anybody today. Who would it be?
I'm a very techie person. You'd be surprised. People think that I would say Yoji Yamamoto or I think that the best collaboration when it comes to fashion brand. I've never done a fashion brand collaboration before. We're waiting for the right time for it. But my taste and opinion changes over time, constantly. I think an ultimate collaboration for me would be with a fashion brand. I've paid so much respect lately for Hermes. I think that how they move with intention and how they do things intentionally is insane. The reason why Hermes is because they already do color, but a certain palette of color.
Yes.
I personally love the color camel.
Yes.
So their color palettes fits within my style, and it's a type of brand that I see. It's a vibe. They've got that vibe, not really the brand, but a vibe that I foresee myself dressed up in 20 years' time.
Do you already have the product in mind? Like if it's a bag or if it's a, can you see it, or would that have to?
I can imagine a menswear jacket. A jacket. I can imagine a women's cardigan, a skirt, two-piece. You know how
5 million.
I can imagine a lot. Silk scarf and a silk outfit. I love silk as well.
9 million.
Yeah, Hermes is the ultimate brand that I would, but
incredible.
I personally love Gucci as well. You know, I think I love more what the brand represents than actually mainly the aesthetic. You know, so I like flamboyant clothes. I like retro style clothes. So Gucci has held that down. And when you're a brand that falls down and then fall down and then pick up, that means that you've got something to fight for. And Gucci is a brand that has something to fight for.
And has showed us that,
And has showed us that, Yes, it has that mafia-esque association with it, that vibe, which makes it look great, but that doesn't mean that they don't have something to fight for, you know. So those two brands are brands that I really respect the most when it comes to aesthetic.
Amazing. If your mom walked into your studio and or she walked into one of the factories, what do you think she'd say to you?
If my mother would walk into my studio while I'm working, I think the first thing and only thing that she would say, people think that I would think that she would say, "I'm proud of you, my son." No. My mother wasn't like that. I think the first thing she would say is that, "Let's go harder, my son.
Wow.
There's a lot of work to do." She's that type of person that stamped it so hard in our heads that do not ever be complacent, or do not ever be apologetic about what you believe is compelling to you or life-changing to you, and compromise because of someone else's opinion. You know, so our mother was very open-minded. She was very pragmatic, super realistic, and those are the things that I think that I inherited from her. Wow. So wherever she is in the world, she knows very well that I know that, or should know that, we've only achieved 1% of what we are that we should be benchmarking to achieve. And because once we think that we are there, it means that we didn't know the value of what we're doing from the first place. We didn't have a good objective in place in the first place, you know. So I'm sure that she's super proud. We do feel her presence. In fact, I even acknowledge her as the co-founder of the brand. If you really think about it, you know, she planted a seed, an idea, and I continued. So I'd like to believe that she's the generation that that created. I'm the generation that is expanding, and the next generation is the one that would sustain it.
Wow. That's powerful.
Yeah, so that's what I think her mind is at right now.
That's incredible, bro.
Yeah,
I think that's such a special way to close the show, bro. My last question is, how would you like to be remembered?
I'd like to be remembered not only for my identity, but more about what I represented. I think that's a fair trade in life. I feel like I'm just I know that, not I feel like, it's reality. I'm just another human being that came on earth, who read their story, who wrote his story, and one day has to leave. So therefore, with that said, I wouldn't want to leave my name, ID number, story, whatever. I want to leave an idea. And that idea is that I've proven that African home-based luxury can be credible enough to be palatable global luxury. We've proven that fact. We've lived that case. We still yet to achieve that case in a wider audience. But then the thought that I want people to have once they've thought about a name called Laduma back, when was it, 70 years ago, was that he proved that culture can be tasteful enough to be fashionable and be an economy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible, bro. Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much for making time. What a special conversation, man. Just to give you your flowers, you're an absolute legend, and you are such an important reference for this generation, man. You have come, you are conquering. I don't want to say you've conquered, because it feels like you're just getting started. Yeah. And your mom wouldn't approve. She'd be like, not conquered, conquering, you know. And shout out to you, man, just for like every interaction I've ever had with you guys, and just to be at the show yesterday and just to see how you guys switched from 2 different rooms in like a matter of minutes, and everyone's just switched on and everyone's so aligned in your team. You guys are like, you know, it's like you don't even need to say it. Everyone looks at each other and they know this is happening. And I'm just watching that from like a production standpoint, and I'm watching you guys and the way everything just clicks into place, and everyone's got everyone's backs, and it's just such a beautiful thing to see your community pitch up and like your people. And it was just such an amazing experience to be there. And shout out to you, my brother. You are doing such incredible stuff, and it's an absolute honor to be able to watch it. And I hope we can do this again in like 5-10 years, when it's like, we thought Gucci, now Gucci, you're worth more than Gucci. How does that feel? Laduma, you know? It's incredible, bro. Shout out to you, my brother.
No, appreciate it, man. Thank you. And long time coming here.
Absolutely.
You've been inviting me to the show for the past year.
Yeah, easily, if not longer.
And you've kept at it and made sure that when I land back in Cape Town again, and what such beautiful weather to do this interview in, man. And absolutely feel blessed to have been part of your journey.
Thank you,
your podcast has evolved tremendously, and it has that signature emotional sound at the back. You know, when people throw bars there, and I'm like, someone is about to throw gems
100%, 100%. Hey, and you dropped gems, so man, I said, this guy must be a Drake fan, my brother. Come on.
I always, when I look at the podcasts, I want those trending gems.
You've given us too many. Just watch, bro.
You know, well done to you.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, gents. Thank you, man. What a special. This is the best Laduma interview ever. And I'm not even being biased, but that's the best one. Thank you, my brother.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.